The legacy and voices of our ancestors is a foundation we can stand on and be inspired by today. Please like, share, and subscribe. Candace Owens and people like her that we see sort of building momentum and numbers in social media and entertainment are part of a disgusting, tragic, vile minstrel show aimed at calming and soothing the guilt and responsibility that this country has for the 400 years of oppression and atrocities aimed at legacy African Americans. These people are part of a line of almost uninterrupted diversion that starts off with the kind of slaves that betrayed slavery boats and told master that, boy, they're coming to get you, and undermined these rebellions and revolutions in the past. She's like the FBI informants epitomized by William O'Neill, who undermined black revolutionaries and were informants for the FBI. It's a traitorous line of what I'll euphemistically call good Negroes from the past. These minstrel shows were meant to soothe the conscience and the responsibility of how this country allowed white racism and white supremacy to terrorize our ancestors. And the whole purpose behind the minstrel show is to show that these Negroes really, they're just subhuman, they're goofy, they don't really deserve any kind of justice because they're less than anyways, to put that thought in people's minds and make them feel good about what happened. Because really, these Negroes deserved it anyway. They never deserved better anyway. So that's what the minstrel show was meant to illustrate. You characterize people, you stereotype them, and it makes you feel better about what you've had them go through. I always look at slavery and Jim Crow and Reconstruction. I look back on that and I think how people have really glossed that over the years in this country. Because they have this desire to look at U.S. history in a delusional way. We try to edit out everything that was bad. And this wasn't just bad, it was horrible. Can you imagine a country that allows trafficking in little children, selling them as commodities, but it's completely legal and it's something people are making big money off? We did that. 400 years of that kind of attitude, 400 years of not being allowed to move freely, 400 years of being barred from all these economic opportunities, not allowed to pass wealth on to our children and grandchildren. But these minstrel shows, people could sit back and look at them and they get the feeling that everything was really justified because these people weren't worthy of being treated like human beings. They're sort of caricatures of real life people, but not really people deserving of any dignity and fair treatment. People like her have slid into this vacuum that was created because we have made progress. And explicit racism is not really tolerated anymore. You can't come out and say black people are horrible and don't deserve anything, or, I hate black people. What you can do, you can get somebody who has a natural black face as your mouthpiece. So how could that be bad, right? Because, Candace Owens is black, so why can this be, how can this be wrong? Why would it be? But the reality is we've always had people like that, like the people I already named who are traitors and worked with white supremacy to keep us down. And it's too late now. we've overcome and we're going to continue to keep overcoming. But Candace Owens is part of that group. There's always a backlash. When every time legacy African Americans have made progress, there's always those that rise up and try to shut us down. And she's part of that wave. At least she's selling herself to that wave of people that want to do that. I want to just give you a little clip here. One of the moments that really defined our generation was when George Floyd was murdered. And so most of these white supremacists and people that wanted to maintain the status quo, they wanted to rush in and act like, well, this didn't really happen, but it did. We saw it. We saw it illustrated. We saw the event take place in real time because we have the technology to capture that. So people really didn't know. People that tried to diffuse this had no idea. How can we act like this didn't happen? How can we diffuse it? On the face, he was a man murdered and demarginalized and murdered because of the color of his skin, because he was a black man. So I want you to hear the response that she gave.
To better his life, but ultimately his life will have bettered our city. The jury joined in a shared conviction that has animated Minneapolis for the last 11 months. They refused to look away and affirmed he should still be here today. Brandon, Minneapolis to better his life. When you want to better your life, how much fentanyl do you take?
Simon says, I don't know how much fentanyl.
Can you imagine the level of sociopathy and narcissism it takes to laugh about George Floyd being murdered, to mock him and make fun of him? But this shouldn't surprise us because she's part of that line, like I already said. The slave informants knew the people they informed on were going to be killed and mutilated. The FBI informants knew that they were undermining revolutionaries who'd probably be killed and murdered. So why should we be surprised that she can laugh and make fun of a man who's already been murdered? How can a man being murdered be a laughing matter? Does it matter what he was like? This is a minstrel show attitude. We're going to characterize him in all these ways and see him as subhuman or not deserving of justice. But this is a perfect illustration of what the minstrel show people do. They try to soothe the conscience of people who have hatred and racism in their heart. They may not want to express it openly, but it's there. And she's here to diffuse whatever conscience they have and make them feel better.
Something else to know about affirmative action is that it actually harms Black people that purportedly benefit from it. And Thomas Sowell did a great job examining this. He was an adjunct professor. I want to say it was Cornell. I could be wrong. And he recognized that everybody that was on academic probation, all of the Black kids that were there were on academic probation. And he went to go investigate why that was. And he realized that when you mismatch people, he's like, these people were the cream of the crop. If you had put them out of school based on what they actually knew and didn't force them into schools that were actually above their academic caliber, they would have been at the top of the class. But instead, because they were swimming with people that were more academically capable, they were at the bottom of the class. And so it actually harms people by mismatching them into universities. And so it's very important. Clarence Thomas has written extensively about that problem as well. And I am also a person that believes that affirmative action should be abolished. Something else to know about it.
So here we have it. The good Negro is talking about how all the Black students are on academic probation. That old affirmative action stuff, that's just hurting Black folks. We don't need that, Mazza. So nothing's really changed. We're right back to where we were back in slavery days, with the good Negro making you feel good about the harm you've done and how you practiced injustice, but really you're just trying to help. And her black face is like the spoonful of sugar that allows this kind of distorted medicine to go down. And make no mistake about it, these people like her are selling themselves. They're prostitutes. Because the love of money is the root of all different kinds of evil. And that's all these people are doing. They're selling themselves to make people that are racist, people that have this like internal hatred in them. She's selling herself like a prostitute to try to soothe their conscience and their sensibilities and make them feel good about themselves and let them idealize American history and society in some kind of delusional way so that they can embrace their idolatry and not feel bad about it at all.